Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, David. Welcome, everybody, to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Josh Taylor in tonight for Rich Walsh. Got quite a few things going on at the same time, and let's start with the more recent stuff. Penguins wrap up a loss in Carolina, 2-1. Is your final score in a game that the Penguins started off on the right foot. Brian Dumoulin gets a goal early in the first period. It looked like the Penguins had some momentum carrying over from another shootout win against Columbus, against Columbus, but in same fashion, each of those two meetings against Columbus, when they won in the shootout, they fall flat in the next game, and they lose this one 2-1. In a game where Carolina actually had an opportunity to go ahead 2-1, it was goaltender interference, so they wiped that goal out. It looks like the Penguins might have another shot to really regroup and get things going again. And then what happens? Well, Carolina scores again, and the Penguins never really recovered from it. 2-1 was the final score on a night where Tristan Jarry actually made some pretty impressive saves in the first two periods to at least try to keep this team afloat early in this game. Just happened to fall short in the long run. But the Penguins continue on as they go through the week, and they play again on Sunday. Also, with the Steelers getting ready to wrap up the regular season at Heinz Field against the Browns, Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, looks like they will not play. Looks like it will be Landry Jones at the quarterback spot, and the running back spot probably divided between Fitzgerald, Toussaint, and Stephen Ridley. A few other things we could discuss about the week that has passed and the days to come. And to help me do that in studio from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette columnist Gene Collier joins me right now. And Gene, we will start with the Steelers for the time being. Obviously, there's been a lot that's happened and transpired in the last 7 days since we last spoke. So quite a bit to go through there. But if you had to start with just this particular game, we know what the situation is. We know the Steelers have to beat the Browns and they need a little help to win that number one spot in the AFC. Granted, it takes the Jets beating the Patriots in Foxborough. So we know what the challenge is and the likelihood of it is. But if you had to try to put a fix on what you would do as if you were Mike Tomlin's in his position, what do you do as far as who do you start? Who do you sit? Who do you rest? Who do you think needs to be playing? Who needs to be out there? And who probably should take the week off?
I think Mike Tomlin's probably going about it the same way, the correct way, Josh. I mean, if you look at the New England situation with the Jets, New England is the biggest favorite on the board, if you will, 17-point favorite at home, where they rarely lose to anybody, especially when something is riding on it, and it is. And there is something riding on it. They need to win to play the AFC title game at home in a couple of weeks. That being said, the Steelers certainly don't want anybody else to get hurt. They don't know what the availability of Antonio Brown. They certainly don't want to risk, a similar situation with Ben or Bell or any number of people. So, this is kind of the really conservative way to do it. But I think I do think it's prudent because I don't think New England is going to lose, and therefore the Steelers don't have to win.
With that said, it looks like Landry Jones is going to be the guy if Ben Roethlisberger does, in fact, sit this one out. And we saw him start the last game of the season last year against Cleveland, and it was one that did not go too well, but eventually they won in an overtime. Landry Jones, the Kobe Hamilton game-winning touchdown pass in overtime. So we have seen a little bit of Landry Jones in this position before, but in your opinion, what do you expect to see from him in this game on Sunday?
No, I expect to see what you usually see from Landry Jones. He knows all the plays. He knows where to go with the ball. He's not confused by anything. And, I think he'll, like he did last year, come out a winner.
Now, with all that said, we talked about Ben Roethlisberger's situation. If Le'Veon Bell does indeed sit, it looks like Fitzgerald, Toussaint, and Stephen Ridley will get the division of those carries as well. And I know there's been a lot of talk about Le'Veon Bell's usage throughout the season. It looks like it spikes and had peaks and valleys. Granted, they got him out of there a little bit early in Houston. Not a lot of touches, I think 24 or so. So he didn't get a lot of touches of the ball. But there is the concern about his usage. And after last postseason, the way he was used deep into that game against Detroit, and maybe that carried over, against Miami, and how that might have carried over into the AFC Championship game. That's obviously an opportunity they can take advantage of as well.
Well, sure. I think I'm going to be very careful about how they use him, mostly for exactly what happened in the playoffs last year. So, I think they're going about it the right way.
Now, all that said, we've talked about the possibility of the Steelers in New England colliding twice, both in the regular season and in the AFC Championship game. But there's also the thing that stands in the back of your mind. We still haven't found out who the last 2 seeds in the AFC are going to be. Right now, it could be Baltimore. It could be Buffalo. It could be one of these other teams that are fighting for spots, the Chargers. There's a handful of teams that are still in, and that's not counting the fact that you have Kansas City and Jacksonville occupying division championships. So this is not as easy of a field in the AFC as maybe we're giving it credit for.
No, I mean, I think, when you get to January, anybody can beat you. They're the good teams. I don't think anybody should take anything for granted. I mean, anybody can come in here and beat the Steelers. And the Steelers can beat anyone. It's the usual situation it is every week. Now,
I want to shift gears here with the Penguins because there's been a lot of talk in the past week. A lot of it centered around Chris Letang coming off the holiday break, the lower body injury that we were told about. So it looks like he will be out for an extended period of time, placed on injured reserve. And there had been a lot of talk about maybe him being a possible trade candidate. Then there was a report that came out sometime today that says, you know what, it's been confirmed that he actually is not. At least they're not looking to trade Chris Letang. But in your estimation, how do you even handle this? Because Chris Letang is just one guy as far as many options the Penguins could move here. Because let's not kid ourselves. There's obviously that's something that needs to be done to fix what's going on, whether it's a trade, whether it's calling some guys up. But they've got a difficult position because they have some things that they need to fill while knowing that they're up against the cap and a couple of guys who may have expiring contracts. A couple they may want to keep, but a couple may not be valuable. Ian Cole is kind of that guy who's in limbo right now. How do you make sense of all of it, especially if we know now, if you believe what's being said, that Chris Letang isn't a trade candidate?
Yeah, I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm not sure I believe he ever was a trade candidate. I mean, I don't think the Penguins can really get much for Chris Letang. His injury history is so extensive, and here he is, he's hurt again. I can't imagine another team giving up something of real value that the Penguins could use for Chris Letang. But, the Penguins are in a difficult situation. They need to add somebody, something, somewhere in a hurry. That's why Jim Rutherford gets the big bucks.
All right, well, I've fired off enough questions here with Gene, so we will take a break. We come back. You'll get your chance to ask your questions, 412-575-2600 on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Also taking your tweets at Josh Taylor HD. See you in a few.
The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, putting new roofs on Pittsburgh homes for over 25 years. Call Ireland Contracting at 1-800-NEW-ROOF.